Hello, everyone, and welcome to the concession stand here on the KB Radio Network. I am your host, Kevin Reed, and this is the review of Netflix's new slaughter horror film, Fear Street Prom Queen, which is based on the novel The Prom Queen, which is a part of the book series Fear Street. And we've gotten Fear Street films from Netflix what that was maybe 2 3 years ago. I forgot how long it's been, but I enjoyed those movies for what they were. Those little throwback horror films, from the 1980s, those slaughter horror films that we grew up loving, those of us of a certain age. And Prom Queen is strictly a throwback. This film is set in 1988, and it focuses on a mass killer who targets the prom queen candidates at Shadyside High on the night of their senior dance. So it's a real throwback. I mean, serious throwback. If you would have told me that this film was made in 1988, I probably would have believed you. And I probably would have believed you. That's how well made it was, to give an homage to those lovable films back then. The film stars India Fowler, Susanna Sun, Chris Klein, Ariana Greenblatt, Lily Taylor, and Catherine Waterstone. This movie is directed by Matt Palmer, and like I said, set in 1988. The vibe of it, the look of it, the feel of it feels 1980s horror, and I'm talking horror movies of the Friday the 13th ilk, what you call it, Slaughterhouse Sleepover or whatever, all of those type of B horror movies from the 80s. A strict throwback to those. I wasn't a reader of the Fear Street book series. That came out like in the early 90s, mid 90s. I didn't read those books, but I knew of them. I was in the comic books, so I didn't really get into the horror books, but I knew of them because they were so popular around that time. And in the age that we get these adaptations, a la of comic book movies and so on and so forth, you didn't see too many adaptations of the Fear Street franchise, series of books, because there's a lot of them. And we finally getting our fourth installment into this film series with Prom Queen. This movie was really good. I mean, as far as this genre of film, it's good. I mean, really, really good. And I really have no flaws with this movie. It is almost perfect in the sense of this is the movie it is. It's not trying to be anything thought provoking or trying to grab any award consideration, but it is set out to be a certain thing, and that's exactly what it is. I think this appeals, at least it would appeal, to the young, preteen, teenagers who are in the horror movies, like I was when I was a preteen, and I'm pretty sure you were if you're older, around my age, who were into those horror movies. It appeals to this generation's young audience, and it also appeals to those of us who grew up with these type of movies, because it's a nostalgia kick, and so everybody should be pleased with this film. If once again, if you love this genre, if you're not into horror and slasher films, the Mike Myers of the world, the Jasons, the Freddys, and so on and so forth, you probably don't care to watch this movie because it is, and I mean, it is gory. It is very, very gory with the kills. They do not hold back with the kills in this movie, and I appreciated it. Yeah, was it cheesy and campy to see people arms get lopped off and you see gallons of blood just spill out of a separated appendage? Yes, it is silly, but that's what it is. It's meant to be that. The adult characters here, all the adults are how can I describe them other than stupid? All of the adults are stupid. The teens are the intelligent ones, just like they are in those old movies. And the killer that they reveal at the end, it, granted, you see it coming a mile away. You knew it as soon as that character popped up on screen in the first act. Like, oh, that's the killer. And sure enough, that's who it was. But it didn't matter. I didn't care. It was a fun time to watch this type of movie, especially if you watch it at night, just curled up in your bed. Netflix, they slap with movies like this. This is what Netflix is meant for. This is what staying at home, cuddled up with your significant other and watch this type of movie. It's everything that you can ask for. The one thing it doesn't have is abundance of sex, like we got in the 80s with these horror movies. It was like a contractual obligation to have sex, have a sex scene in a horror movie. But we didn't get that here. And I'm not complaining. I'm just saying that's the one thing missing to make it a true 80s horror movie. But aside from that, there was some innuendo, there was some talk of it, but we didn't get to see it. But other than that, this was an 80s horror film. And it didn't deviate from it. I was expecting a moment for the ball to drop where we felt like it was a 2025 movie. It never got there. I mean, from beginning to end, it just felt real. It felt like a real horror film from that era. The performances were the performances. They were cheesy and corny, but they were meant to be. I don't think any of the performances were uh, done in that way because of the lack of talent from these performers. No, it was meant to be that way. And uh, once again, making it authentic, along with the soundtrack that also, I mean, you can't go wrong with an 80s soundtrack. It had all of the pop hits from around that time that just elevated it even more. I'm This is one of those movies that honestly I can go back and watch a few times and wouldn't get tired of it because you can turn your brain off. It's not one of these movies that you have to watch every frame to get the movie. Every line of dialogue you have to dissect and decode and figure out this and that. It's not that. It is truly a paint by numbers horror movie, a B level horror movie, but done with so much care and love. And that's why I'm so happy to have experienced this movie. Can't wait to watch it again around Halloween, and because it was weird for this movie to drop on Memorial Day weekend. I don't know why they put it out around this time. I guess because it's close around prom season, even though prom season was like a month ago, wasn't it? I don't know. I'm so detached from high school. I don't know when prom is, but it's a lot of graduations going on right now. So I don't, prom was way before the graduations. I don't know why they put it out now, but hey, as long as I don't care when we got it, I'm happy that we did get it. And I hope that Netflix continue to give us these Fear Street movies, these adaptation of those novels. I am enjoying them. I have enjoyed every one that they have made. This being the fourth one. So far so good. They're 4 for 4 in my book. Fear Street, Prom Queen, which is currently on Netflix, gets a letter grade of an A. Yeah, it gets an A. It's perfectly fine. Perfectly fine. It's nothing wrong with this movie. It appealed to every checkbox that I have for this type of movie. Now me giving it an A, and I feel I have to explain myself for it, so I'm going to attempt to. Me giving it an A does not put it up there with Sinners, you know, of the A movies of the year. I'm not gonna sit there and fool you like, oh, you gave such and such an A. Yeah, because for that type of film, it was an A. And you know, for this type of film, it's an A. It's not the greatest thing on earth. I'll never uh, try to lead you on to believe that, but it is what it is. You know, it didn't try to be more than what it was, and it wasn't less than what it needed to be. It was perfect right where it was. But that's just my opinion, and I want to know yours. What did you think of Fear Street Prom Queen? Did you like it? Did you love it? Did it bring back some memories and made you want to go back and watch Sleepover Camp and all this other good stuff? It did for me. it, it did for me, but I want to know, what did it do for you? Email the show, kbradiopodcast@gmail.com. You can also search for the show on all social media platforms. Just search for the KB Radio Network. Also, don't forget about YouTube. Subscribe to the KB Radio Network channel and like this video if you don't mind. Don't forget about the 5 stars, the reviews, and sharing this show if you're listening on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, iHeartRadio, wherever you are currently listening to the concession stand here on the KB Radio Network. Everybody, thank you for joining me for this review of Fear Street Prom Queen. Want you all to know that I love you. Continue to love everyone, and until we speak again, you all be blessed.